Bernie Leadon talks about pouring that beer on Glenn Frey's head and making amends later, many years later. I'm John Beaudin from Rock History Music. It took many years for Glenn Frey and Bernie Leadon to talk to each other after Leadon poured a beer on his head before he left after the One of These Nights album in 1975. Leadon went into recovery many years after leaving the Eagles, and part of that, as all of us know, is making amends. But that took an awful long time.
So I didn't, I had poured the beer on Glenn's head, at a band meeting in 1975, and then agreed to leave. I said I'm going to leave the band, and it was about 4 months till the end of the year. And I said, let's do good shows and do it to prove how good we can do them, and then I'll be gone. And then, so I didn't realize that the pouring the beer on his head though was going to be this giant thing, in social media essentially too. So, but one time after Wikipedia became established, and I looked at my own entry in Wikipedia, it basically said Bernie Leadon left the band because he poured a beer on Glenn Frey's head, which I thought, well, that's kind of a funky legacy on Wikipedia. It's like they don't talk about my guitar playing; they just talk about me pouring a beer on Glenn's head. So then I became a recovering alcoholic, and when you do recovery work, one of the things you do is you realize who you harmed, and then you become willing to make amends to them. So I realized I had to make an amends to Glenn. I tried to get a hold of him to talk to him, and he didn't want to respond. So you write him a certified letter. So I did that, return receipt, so I knew he got it. Sent it to his office, sent it certified, and I didn't hear anything back for like 5-6 years. And then the request came to do the documentary that preceded the History of tour. And it was on Showtime in the U.S., and it was sold on DVD. So in the documentary, I basically, because I was asked the question, what about pouring the beer on Glenn's head? And I said, well, I made an amends to him. I sent him a letter, and and I regret it. And so forth. And I said it wasn't a cool thing to do, and I regret it, and I've apologized to him. So shortly after that footage was seen by them in pre-production for the documentary, I got a call from the manager, Irving, saying, hey, we're thinking about doing a History of tour and wonder if you'd be interested. And if you are, Glenn would like to talk to you. And I said, yeah, I would be interested. I don't know what the parameters are, but let's talk about it. So then Glenn called me. And in the course of that conversation, he said, I got your letter and appreciated it. And the fact that he was calling me was, evidence that he felt better about things. So, but the fact that I cleared that up with him and apologized was the reason that it became possible for them to consider having me. And ironically, they wouldn't work with Felder because he'd sued them and so forth, so they weren't going to work with him. And Meisner wasn't really physically up to it. So I became the only one that was available to come back to from the past.
We'll have more from Bernie Leadon coming up next week. It was a long interview, 77 minutes. I told him I don't want to keep you all day. And he said, no, that's fine. I just got to mow the grass. So that's cool. So many more Fridays to come. I know this is a long series. This is our longest series, a 20-part interview series. Make sure you comment on our video, subscribe to our channel, and share our videos. I'm John Beaudin from Rock History Music.